progress is rolling along. But first we begin tonight with progress. Progress in the vaccine and progress with relief to millions of people around the country.
Today, nearly 6 million doses of the Moderna vaccine are starting to arrive at hospitals. On top of that, more Pfizer vaccines are going out too.
Also today, we are steps closer to a $900 billion COVID relief bill. Live pictures here from the House floor right now. And once the House approves it, it goes to the Senate and then the president's desk.
In that bill, $600 checks for each adult and dependent. It's for people making $75,000 a year. In addition, $300 a week for people who are unemployed. That would be $300 per week from the end of December through mid-March. It's welcome news for so many people in Georgia and South Carolina.
Sydney Heiberger is breaking down what this will look like.
The Treasury Secretary says people could start to see those $600 checks hit as early as next week. But the South Carolina Department of Economics and Workforce says it might take a few weeks for those unemployment checks to hit. It's 9 months in the making, but reactions to the latest COVID relief bill are mixed.
If it was not for the unemployment, I honestly don't know what we would do.
I think it may be a little bit of out of touch with how much things really cost for some people.
For Kathy Griffith, who's been out of work since April, any amount makes a big difference.
So I'm very grateful for what I do get, because my goal, as with most others that are out of work, is to get back to work.
But people like Megan Johnston say while they're grateful for the help, $600 won't make a dent.
If we weren't lucky enough to have my husband as a student getting his GI Bill, that may cover 1 month's bills for us.
Sociology professor Dr. Dustin Avent-Holt at Augusta University says he understands both sides.
Something is better than nothing, but it is, the unemployment, the extension of unemployment insurance in particular was cut in half.
While unemployment trends across South Carolina and Georgia have generally been trending downwards, it doesn't paint the full picture.
It doesn't capture especially workers who had given up, people who had given up trying to find work because it was so difficult.
So Dr. Avent-Holt believes the need for government aid now is just as great as it was before.
So the more people you have who are working by necessity because they have to pay the bills, the more of them that are out there interacting, the worse the pandemic gets.
In Augusta, Sydney Heiberger on your side.
This bill would also extend eviction protection until January 31st. That was supposed to expire at the end of this year. There will also be money for rent assistance. This deal also raises SNAP benefits by 15% for the next 6 months and gives money to food banks and services like Meals on Wheels.
Some better news, relatively speaking, on the COVID front. Numbers are out for the last 24 hours in Georgia and South Carolina. Here's where we stand. Georgia has 3,100 new cases. South Carolina has 2,100 new cases. These numbers are definitely still higher, but compared to last week where Georgia topped out at 6,000 and South Carolina at 3,000, it's not as bad.
While none of our hospitals have the Moderna vaccine yet, more have the Pfizer vaccine. Doctors Hospital got a shipment this morning. University got one over the weekend. So now there's a push to vaccinate around our area.
And there's also a push to hire. Wrdw shows us how hospitals are getting creative and looks at the fight they face when they get inside.
Only days before Christmas, and University Hospital has one big wish.
We don't have a nurse farm in the backyard. We sure wish we did.
Lori Ott says University Hospital is trying to hire as many nurses as they can. Today, they took it to Facebook Live.
How can you possibly attract nurses when you can't have them into your hospitals to see what is going on and how you're caring for patients?
So they're offering interviews on the spot, and nurses can have a new job within a day. University says hiring 100 nurses would do wonders as they face dire staffing challenges and a surge of COVID patients.
It would mean that the travel nurses that we have right now taking care of patients could go elsewhere.
This is University Hospital is experiencing record-breaking COVID hospitalization numbers with not enough vaccinations for their frontline workers.
We would like it to be, 5 or 6 times what we got last time.
In their first shipment, they received just over 100 doses, and they have about 600 frontline workers.
It's really important for a hospital like University, which is playing a lion's share of the role in caring for our COVID population inpatient in our community, that we'd be able to get those vaccines.
AU received 975 initial doses, but there was enough vaccine in the vials to vaccinate 1,200 healthcare staff and any patients who were willing at the Georgia War Veterans Home. University Hospital expects more doses of the Pfizer vaccine and their first shipment of Moderna as soon as later this week. Still, health officials are begging the public to wear masks and social distance.
It really is about helping relieve some of that pressure on healthcare organizations across country.
Reporting in Augusta, Brady Trotnell on your side.
University Hospital says they're hiring around the clock, but AU Health is also in need of nurses. We will have their information on Wrdw.com if you can help. Georgia provided new numbers today so far. They've got 125,000 doses allocated to them. Of that, 74,000 have shipped out. 1,200 people have been vaccinated. We don't have that information yet for South Carolina. The CDC is starting to roll out plans for the next round of people to get it. A CDC panel voted to make that next round of people 75 and older and essential workers like teachers, first responders, and grocery store workers.
With Christmas just days away, folks are getting tested before heading out to see family. AU Health tells us their testing hours this week are the same, 9 to 5:30, but keep in mind they're closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Across the river, USC Aiken has shortened hours this week, too. Testing at their Convocation Center will only be available on Wednesday from 1 to 6. They'll open back up next week, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. And with so many people hoping to get tested all at once, expect those wait times to be longer than normal. If you need to see this info again and other testing sites, go to Wrdw.com.
All right, to weather now, and Riley, it's a
look at in just about 10 minutes.
A 3-year-old girl is dead. A man charged with child cruelty. Last Wednesday, the little girl was taken to the hospital, and she died that night. Today, the coroner announced he's calling her death suspicious. On Friday, Richmond County Sheriff's deputies arrested Donquelvin Bright Hop on child cruelty charges. The coroner has not given the girl's name, and we're working to find out the relationship between this little girl and Bright Hop, as well as if there will be any more charges.
A murder suspect, once on the run, is now behind bars. His mugshot was released to us about half an hour ago. Mario Romero Gonzalez was arrested in Columbia County this afternoon. He's accused of stabbing and killing Christina Govia last night. It happened around 7 at her home on Milledgeville Road.
The Richmond County Sheriff's Office believes it was some sort of domestic situation. Police confirmed to us just before noon they found Gonzalez's SUV in Evans, and then just before 2 this afternoon, they confirmed he was captured. The search for 2 missing people continues in Richmond County. Deputies searching for 16-year-old Alexis McFall. She was last seen Wednesday on Deansbridge Road near Wheelus Road. Her hair is burgundy colored. She might be wearing a pink hoodie still. Deputies also looking for Emmanuel Williams. He has not been seen since right before Thanksgiving off Gordon Highway. He is homeless, but people say they've seen him around Broad Street. So if you have any information, call the Sheriff's Office.
And of course, exams are now a much smaller part of the grade for Georgia students. Today, the State Board of Education approved making those Georgia milestone tests worth 0.01% of the final grade. Now, this is only for this school year because of the pandemic. South Carolina did something similar several months ago. There, each district decides whether tests count in final grades.
More than 400 meals, hundreds of toys, and countless families reached today at this pop-up event for the holiday.
Augusta's Interfaith Coalition and local voting rights activists made it all possible. In a year with historic unemployment, poverty, and hunger, they called this a chance to feed the community in more ways than one. It's no winter wonderland, but it's quite a marvel all the same.
I think that it's good when we could work together. We could be as individual as the fingers, but we could be as together as the hands.
Vegetables, canned goods, toys, stacked by the hundreds outside Antioch Baptist, all in the name of faith
that God is real
and hope.
It's been a really rough year for everyone. We're trying and hoping that, this would be a pickup. Any little pickup that we can do for the community or whatever, all over the state of Georgia, that's what we're trying to do.
It's a twofold approach to combat what Golden Harvest says is a 41% increase of poverty and hunger in our area. First, activists offering donations of meals and gifts to this neighborhood, while also serving a civic idea.
A voteless people is a hopeless people. I think it would be criminal on our part if we don't go out and exercise our right to vote when you look at the sacrifices that have been made so that we can vote.
Politics aside, Ursula Givens calls this her saving grace today.
And I was praying while I was walking.
Had she not walked over here to find the assistance, she says she may have gone hungry this Christmas. 1 in 5 Georgians this year are like her, food insecure. With the pandemic coupled with record poverty this season, local activists say this spot in Laney Walker is just the right place to meet a community often known for its need.
We want to work with you, and we feel your pain. So this is just a small way of saying that we know who you are.
So that was a big help for District 1. We love to see the community show up and help others.
Yeah, especially this year. It has been so tough. So any silver linings, we love seeing that. From clothes to water guns, Christmas came a little early for some kids in our area today. 48 kids got to go on a $250 shopping spree at Walmart with some Columbia County deputies. It was part of their Day with a Deputy program. And one sheriff's deputy we spoke to says 2020 has been such a tough one, so they wanted to play a little part in making things better.
It's always a joy to see the smiles on some of those kids' faces, knowing that they're going to get some assistance for Christmas. We just want to make sure that the kids have some type of Christmas, amongst this.
Says this is their way of getting kids to bond with police in a positive way. They look forward to this event every year. Riley?
Well, it is a beautiful evening if you want to check out.
'Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart.
Tonight, if you look above, you can see something that hasn't been seen in decades, since the Middle Ages. Some people call it the Christmas star. In actuality, it's Jupiter and Saturn coming so close together, they look like a single source of light. And the last time this was this bright, it's visible all the time, but the last time they were this close together was in 1226, so nearly 800 years ago.
So long ago. It's called the Great Conjunction. Tonight falls on the winter solstice like a star of Bethlehem for Christmas week 2020. Meteorologist Anthony Carpino shows us when and how to see it.
Well, planetary conjunctions actually happen all the time, and they're fairly easy to predict. The one with Jupiter and Saturn tonight actually happens pretty much every 20 years. It happened back in 2000, and it's going to happen again in 2040. But what sets this year apart is just how close the two planets will be from each other. You can actually go ahead and send your forearm out, and your pinky finger will end up covering both planets. You can go ahead and look in the southwest sky, and they've really started to come together over the last couple of weeks, and they're going to be less than a degree apart from each other through this evening. So definitely check that out if you can. The best kind of viewing is going to be done under a telescope. You can really see the detail in the planets as well as some of their moons. I was able to take my telescope out a couple of days ago, snap this picture of Saturn, and there's Jupiter. You actually can make out some of the moons on it. If you have a more fancy telescope than I do, I have the pretty much basic version. You can actually see more detail, the colors, as well as more of the moon. So go ahead again, look toward the southwest. Don't look after 7:30. Both of the planets are going to set below the horizon. If you don't have any binoculars or any equipment, it's still going to be really cool to look at with the naked eye.
And Riley, we've already been able to spot it. If you look to the southwest, I think our Aiken camera, you could see it. Was it Aiken's camera or was it
This is the Grovetown one, but you can see it from Aiken as well. We have all our kind of tower cams pointed towards that general direction, but this is what it's going to look like with the naked eye. It just looks like our way.
Hundreds of bracelets given out to Richmond and Columbia County deputies today for months. 12-year-old Malia Huff and her mom Wendy have been making these bracelets, all as an act of service to give back to those who serve us. Malia says she wanted to find a cool way to give back.
Okay, we know it's not Christmas yet, but afterwards, when you're trying to figure out what to do with that tree, write this down. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers takes your real Christmas trees. They put the trees underwater for fish habitat. And here are the rules. No fake trees. All the decorations have to be off before you donate them. There are about 10 different locations you can drop them off on both sides of the river. They're accepting those drop-offs today through January 17th. So as soon as you are done with that tree, if you're ready to get things back to normal, that's what you do. It's all about the Bulls in sports world right now. The Dogs excited to have what should feel like a home game in Atlanta, and Clemson faces a familiar opponent. Mike's next with more.